I am Vinnie Tortorich. Folks, your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed. That's the Friday show. And people are really loving the call-in show. And we've been doing a lot of them. We've been sticking some shows in between the call-in shows and what have you. The regular shows with the luminaries. We have Nina Teichos coming up, or maybe she came up already. I can't remember. At any rate, we're here again on a Friday doing the call-in, and the guy that's here to help me produce this show is none other than Chris Shaffer. Yeah. Hey, man.
Hey, man. How you doing? Other than throwing snakes out of the house.
You see, Chris, you're coming through the wrong channel. It's amazing. Watch. All right, speak now.
Or forever hold my peace.
Yeah, you see, I'm telling you, I'm going to get yelled at by Debbie because this show won't be right. I guarantee it. That's a guarantee. But let's just go with it. This show has been snake bitten from the second I walked into my office, starting with a snake in my office. Let's start with that. Where's today going? Right? Animals in my house that don't belong in my house. I got 2 cats, 2 dogs, one's a terrier. Okay. Would anyone like to do their job around here? Anyone? I'll take anyone at this point. Anyway, Chris, who do we have? Who do we have today?
So what you're saying is all of the things that are supposed to kill snakes aren't killing snakes, so it's up to you to do it?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I'll let this one go. It slithered out because it was a non-lethal. It couldn't have hurt me or the cat. So and he wasn't all the way in. I walked outside. He was in the door jamb. Snakes can get anywhere. I'm like, how did you get in here? Like, he couldn't have gotten inside, but he was right there. Like, if anyone would have just opened, people go, oh, let me just open my door, right? I always tell Serena, see, I grew up with cottonmouths, really dangerous snakes. I'm always yelling, keep the doors shut. I walk around, doors are wide open, all of it. It's like, keep the doors shut. They will crawl into the house. They don't know outside from inside. They'll just come in, right? This one was right in the crease of the door to let you know that they'll be anywhere. The other night I walked out there and there was a copperhead. I grabbed my gun when I couldn't find him, right? At least this wasn't a copperhead. I don't know what the hell this was. At any rate, Chris, I'm done with snakes for today. What do you have?
So we have a bunch of people that are calling in today, Vin. You're dealing with snakes. I'm down here dealing with scorpions. Did you know that scorpions can flatten themselves to squeeze under door jambs?
I did know that. Yeah. I don't know if they learned how to do that to specifically squeeze under door jambs. I just knew that they can really make themselves small. And snakes can do it.
Trying to shut my front door the other day and it won't shut. And I open it up and a giant black scorpion falls out of the door jamb. And then scurries over to the neighbors, like the metal, what is it, the base plate?
Yeah.
Underneath the door and squeezes itself under that.
Oh.
And I was like, well, they're not home, so that's a fun surprise. But yeah, creepy crawlies exist everywhere. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
No, it's not. What do you have today, Chris?
We got a bunch of people in the back end with us. That sounded wrong. In the studio with us. I think first up, we have Jim. Jim, give me that thumbs up and unmute yourself if you're ready to come on in. There he is. Hey, Jim.
How are y'all doing?
We're doing great. And by the way, thank you for putting up with me while I was trying to get a snake out of my office. I know you were one of the guys sitting, you and Darren were sitting there.
I'm just glad it wasn't a copperhead or a rattlesnake, which I know you got down there in Virginia.
Yeah, we have both. Usually in my neighborhood, we see the copperheads and the black snakes a lot. This was a colorful devil, but he didn't have that viper head. I don't know what kind he was. But I let him go. Anyway, So how did you tell me about yourself, Jim? How did you end up on the show today?
Well, I got an invite from Chris, but I've been around for 3 or 4 years now. I'm a Roby one, um, so to speak, and kind of how I got here. Fast forward, what, 3 or 4 years was. I was thinking about already doing a paleo or keto, but everything felt like a research project. I had to read books and learn things and listen to experts and figure out how to do it. And then I was going on my morning walk with my dog, and I pulled up the way I heard it, and there you were. And I listened to it, and I'm like, well, damn, he just says do this. So I did that. I started. So it probably took 3 days to really start understanding it, reading labels, figuring out what had sugar, what had crappy oils in it, and everything. Started to get really better, and started, the pounds started coming off. So what happened to me before that was people more important than me told me I had to work in my house. Well, I found out that when I'm in my house, I have poor eating habits and poor exercise habits. And so every day was then Saturday. So working from home and all of that, a couple plates of nachos for lunch wasn't a problem because that's what was there. And so I just started right away, got back on it, did really well, and lost about 30 pounds. And for all of that, I appreciate that. I've had and you've talked about it till no end. The doctors see some of the numbers and they want to put you on this, that, and the other thing, and you got to educate them on the particle sizes and all that kind of stuff. And so I've educated them. They've gotten better. But what I haven't been able to do lately is figure out tips on the weekends, particularly in the evenings on the weekends, for not turning a handful of nuts into almost a damn bag. Uh, I've had to do, I think, what you suggested a couple weeks ago that I heard, stop buying the nut butters because, a jar didn't stand a chance over a weekend. So it's really just, I'm not one that can let myself do a little bit and control it.
Mhm.
Whether it's melon or strawberries or almonds or cashews. I can overeat all the good foods, even the ones that I could overeat steak. So it's just a matter of uh, staying focused and kind of learning tips and I guess understanding the triggers and motivation and all that jazz.
Jim, I'm glad you brought up carnivore because carnivore is another great way to eat. If you're that person that can eat one food all the time, basically, I'm exaggerating. Carnivores eat
Yeah,
fish and red meat, pork, and eggs, and that's pretty much the diet, right?
yeah, that's 90% of what I eat.
Yeah, but the problem is even with that, I've seen more carnivores. They'll call me and I'll go, "Hey, carnivore was working, but it's not working anymore." And I'll go, "What do you mean it's not working anymore?" Say, "Well, I'm gaining weight or I'm not losing any more weight." And when you start talking to them, they're eating so much food. Look, yeah, I think there's this idea that you can do some things with impunity. There is
Right.
nothing to do with impunity. You cannot drink water with impunity. You will kill yourself. Right? 3 gallons of water will cause hypotremia and you will die. Right? It will.
Yeah.
I think it's hypertremia, and you'll die. Right? You can't do it. I mean, so yeah, you're learning the lessons. The weekends are particularly problematic for people, and we're coming up at that time of year where the days are getting shorter. We're not there yet, but it's coming. We're in September, right? Football is back. And football used to be Sunday with the Monday night game, right? Now football is Thursday night football. Sometimes a game shows up somewhere on Friday, and then you got Sunday, and you got all the games, and then Monday night. And if you're the person who loves doing that, and a lot of people do, they sit there and they start drinking beer. They're perfect all week long, but they'll start with the beer or the cocktails, and next thing you know, they're doing the good NSNG thing. Oh, they're making Anna's, hot wings and the whole thing.
Yeah.
But then it meanders somewhere left of that. And when that happens, you end up in trouble, right? So, yeah, you got to treat, look, I've always worked. I've never had a job outside of myself, right? A real job. When I was younger, I worked construction and stuff like that in the summer. But ever since, I've graduated college, I've only worked for myself, which means I had to learn a long time ago this weird kind of discipline. And at first, it's kind of hard. I'm going to be honest. But hell, I've been doing it for 40 something years. So it becomes easy for a guy like me. It's like, you just don't buy it. If you don't have it in the house, you're not going to eat it.
Right.
Which becomes a lot of people's problem. They go, oh, I'll buy a pint of ice cream. I won't eat it all at once. Yes, but eventually it will all pass through your liver, right? Yeah. It's actually better if you ate it, maybe a spoon here, a spoon there. Your body can handle that, right? But you'll eat half of it tonight, half of it tomorrow night, and that's 2 big glycogen spikes, and you got a problem. Same with peanut butter. I was coaching a lady. She gave me a phone call. She had a lot of weight to lose. And she lost the initial 8 or 10 pounds. And she's done this before, but she got injured and she put 100 pounds back on. I won't tell her whole story, but this is going on right now. I was just talking to her 2 weeks ago, and she goes, yeah, I went back NSNG hardcore. First week, I lost like 10, 12 pounds. And then I went 2 weeks of not losing any weight. That's why I'm talking to you. And she told me what she was doing. And in there was a lot of nuts and nut butter. And there was a few other things, right? But, casually, you'll look at it and go, this looks like a pretty good diet. But when you get granular with it, when you get down on it, it's like, I said, tell you what, just for 1 week, I said, I'm going to give you a free phone call next Sunday. That's going to be 9 days from now. I want you to go off of all of the nuts, the nut butter, and what else? There was one other thing she was doing. She was doing a lot of dairy. Because she was
a lot of cheese. It's like nuts and cheese sticks have replaced the bag of potato chips.
Yeah. So she was still in the hangry stage, right? She was doing NSNG. Hey, cheese is on the menu. Might as well have all the cheese. Peanut butter, nuts are on the menu. Do all the nuts, all the peanut butter. I said, do me a favor. I know you're hangry right now. You're not really in. You're trying to get there. I want you to cold turkey on nut butters, nuts, and cheese. And I'm giving you a free phone call. We're talking next Sunday, which was 9 days away.
Right.
And so she went, all right. And on Sunday, I called her up and I went, how are you doing? She goes, how much weight do you think I should have lost? And I went, well, if you're saying that, you obviously lost a lot. So I'm going to say you lost, I don't know, 4 pounds, 3 pounds, something like that. She goes, try 12. 12 pounds. See, she was still hanging on to a lot of inflammation because she was just starting this process, right? And so she didn't lose 12 pounds of muscle. Let me be very clear. But she kick-started it again, and she lost 12 pounds. Her body was still hanging on to inflammation, water everywhere. So you let that be a lesson to you, Jim.
Yeah. Well, and I think routine's a big part of it. So I'm good Monday through Friday. I go to the climbing gym, or I'm playing golf, or I'm doing this, that, and the other thing. But right now I'm fighting an injury, so I'm not. Tonight ordinarily I'd be at the climbing gym, but I'm taking the night off, and I'd be good because I get home from that and it's late, and I was just exercising, working out, everything's good. But it's the long days, getting the work done. Maybe you're like this past weekend, long weekend. I was watching tennis, a lot of idle time, and you just snack. You need something to do. It's like the
Yeah.
whole fidgety thing.
Have you been a climber your whole life, or are you just getting into it and finding the climbing gyms, or where are you with that?
Probably about 4 or 5 years. I got into it a few years ago. My son wanted to go climbing, and now I'm stuck, and we're hopefully working toward going on an outdoor trip down to West Virginia. We got some great climbing here, just south of me. I'm in Ohio, down in Kentucky. There's some great
Yeah.
climbing, and trying to get down to the Gully area for some rafting and some climbing.
You can actually, certain times a year, you can do a little ice climbing in Kentucky also. Some of those, waterfalls just freeze over and they're pretty, pretty good, and you can get your ice axes out, and that's a whole different game. Don't just go do
Yeah,
that
it
with
is.
Jim.
I won't be going REI this weekend. Don't worry.
Yeah, you could get hurt. You want someone that knows what they're doing, how to use ice screws and everything else. That's a whole different game. But yeah, I used to climb a lot in the 90s.
Yeah.
I don't suggest it because it's very dangerous, but it's one of the only things that uses every single muscle in your body. As I say, even your face muscles sometimes.
Oh yeah. Well, and you got to think too, like, and you can improve on it. It's great with me and my son. It helped it gave us something to work on where I could encourage him to overcome,
Yeah.
and push through something and keep working at it. But I injured myself bouldering, which, saying bouldering is dumb, and it's certainly for younger people. So when
Yeah.
you're on overhangs, your full weight of your body is sometimes hanging on 3 or 4 fingers, and that's exactly what happened with me. So pulled
Yeah.
my arm, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, bouldering can be tough. I was in Southern California. We had boulders everywhere. And did a lot of bouldering to get ready for big climbs. Right, I did a lot of big. I was a five. I can lead a 512.
Oh wow,
I
it's
wasn't.
big time.
I can follow 512 plus a 13, but I couldn't lead it. If you're a climber, you know what that means.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's fantastic. I'm
yeah,
not at that level. I
that's
turned into a chicken outside, so I climb
yeah.
much below my grade outside.
That it's better to be that way. It took years and years and years to get there. It wasn't 4 years, I can tell you that. And
Yeah,
back in the day, hardly anyone was pulling plastic. We were outside. And I mean, that's why I have Duperdrins in both of my hands now.
yeah.
And I've had most of it. It's cleared up a lot with this radiation therapy I did. But yeah,
Well, and it's been one of the best things. So when I'm at 6'3", I was approaching probably 225, 230 again once I discovered you. And you never want to get to the point where you got to buy new pants. So, and I used to cycle a lot more than I do now, and everyone's like talking about shaving pounds off or ounces off the bike. I'm like, the engine's the problem, not the bike. So,
exactly.
one of the best things that helped my climbing was, dropping 30 pounds, and I bumped down to about 194, 195. I'm back up now. It's after a long weekend where I misbehaved, so I'm probably 205 right about now.
So it sounds like you're doing well. Just keep moving in that direction. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming on. And we're always here. Do you have any other questions before I
Yeah,
let you go?
one last question. I've heard you talk about, talk to other folks that maybe they're getting too much fat. I do
Yeah.
coconut oil and butter, and olive oil and all of that, and uh, eat some of the fatty meats and things. I love a good prosciutto, that kind of stuff. Got some Italian in me. So how do you balance, the fat versus proteins?
That's a difficult question. I get somewhere around 50, sometimes 60% of my calories come from fat per day.
Hmm.
Uh, because I like to stay on deep ketosis, but I can stand to eat more protein to build more muscle and lower the fat a bit. And when I don't like when people count, right? So I just take kind of a mental note. Like if I eat 3 or 4 hard-boiled eggs in the morning, well, the only fat in that is, what's in the yolk. So
Right.
before I go to the gym, I'll probably take some coconut oil. But if I cook 3 or 4 eggs, fry them in a ton of butter, right? And I got the butter just drizzling all over it. I'll probably go to the gym. I already have enough fat in my system from that meal. There is, everyone in diet culture, everyone wants that cut and dry. And look at it. You did well without the cut and dry, right? You did well just by going, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to cut out carbohydrates and it works. Trying to find that perfect ratio. Some days you'll be at 45% fat and really high protein and some carbs. Other days you're going to be 60% fat, lower on the protein. As long as there's an average that's going throughout the week is where you want to be, right? So if you find you're having so many fatty meals in a row, have something with higher protein. Especially as you age, you want to, have more protein to build more muscle. Does that make
Absolutely.
sense?
Yeah. And I mean, I did a 20-mile hike out in Indiana, and fueled by, coconut and butter in my coffee, and then some of your nut butters, and a little jerky here and there. But other than that, and I was fine energy wise. I could have done another 20 at the end of that. So
Yeah, I don't talk about this much, but when I'm going long, like I used to take my kayak out in the ocean. You're out in the middle of the ocean, and I would be out there for 5, 6, 7 hours, which is a long time to be in a kayak, and it's a lot of energy. I bought these little 1 ounce and 2 ounce vials. It was like a few bucks right on Amazon, screw tops
yeah,
on them, little glass vials.
glass.
And I had them in my personal, you have all these zippers on your personal water device, right? On your life jacket. And I would just fill them with Villa Capelli and then put a little salt in there.
Oh yeah.
It tasted like a caprese salad. Whenever I needed some energy, I would just, if I felt like I needed a lot of energy, I'd open the 2 ounce one and just guzzle it down. And if I felt like, I just need a quick hit, I would take the 1 ounce. So I had the 2 ounce on one side, the 1 ounce on the other side. I do the same thing in mountains, right? When I'm climbing mountains, I'll bring coconut oil, I'll bring olive oil, that kind of thing, and use that. Those will be higher fat days. I'm not interested in that much protein when I'm on the mountain or when I'm in the boat or whatever. But then afterwards, you want to replenish your protein, right? Because you want to build muscle. But when you're doing the activity, fat is king.
Yeah,
Bottom
yeah, that's what I found too. Just kind of making sure I'm not getting too much. But so what I'm taking away is maybe cut out the nuts for at least a week, see what happens, reduce the dairy and cheese and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and you're in the driver's seat. You're working from home. You can make those decisions, right?
Well, I'm
I
back at
talked to.
work now, so my routine's way better. I got a gym at work, so I
Oh,
don't bring
good.
food to work. I don't eat during the day really. So if I remove myself from my house, I tend to be better.
Good. Well, that's good. Good on you, man. But remember, you're in control of you. That's what you have to know.
Yeah,
Right? Make it happen.
sounds good.
Great talking to you, man. And keep it up, and please come back and visit us again.
Yeah, and if you're ever looking for a good place to kayak, Smith Mountain Lake down there by Virginia, not too far from you, is a wonderful spot.
I keep talking about going down there, renting a boat to go water skiing. I want to start water skiing again in my old age. I want to do everything I did as a kid again. And I understand you can rent a boat down there and go
Yeah.
water skiing wherever you want for the weekend. So,
Yep, and
yeah.
now's a great time because all the summer folks have left.
Yeah, but it's also getting a little cool out there. I don't like cold water. I like it hot.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, Vinny. Thanks
Good
for
talking.
everything you do for all of us.
Forget about it. Folks, I was talking about Villa Capelli with Jim. And yes, it's true. Villa Capelli is the best olive oil on the planet. Look, I use it. I was just talking about how I use it when I'm out kayaking or when I'm on the mountain. I use it everywhere. I don't just use it for my salads and what have you. I use Villa Capelli all the time. Villa Capelli. Go check it out right now. You want to save 10%, put in promo code Vinnie, VINNIE, no wimpy Y, and you'll get 10% off. Villa Capelli olive oil. I use it in my salads. I drink it as a supplement. And yes, I take it on the mountains and in the kayak. You know what? I'm going to start taking it at some point in the rowboat with me too. Why not? I'm telling you, it's
Just
kind
you
of
in
like
the 3-liter tin. Romantic afternoon on the lake.
Yeah, just bring my guitar, I'll bring a ukulele and just sit there and play songs from my tin of Villa Capelli. Chris, it sounds like I'm doing a tampon commercial from the 80s. They would say, hey, women, use tampons. You can go play tennis. You can go fishing. You can go swimming. That was the whole thing with the early days of the tampon. I don't know. You're probably too young to remember that, Chris.
No, because those commercials are still on the air, Vinny. They still just say, hey, did you know you can still do all of the things that you would normally do? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to use a tampon. It was like, wait a minute. They had Dorothy Hamill. It's like, hey, I'm on the high. You know, she was on that beam, and she's like, yeah, I'm Dorothy Hamill, and I can do all my stuff when I'm on my period. I can get on the beam. I could get on the uneven parallel bars. I could do it. I go swimming and play tennis. It's like, man, I tell you, those tampons are pretty powerful. You can do a lot of things with them. Villa Capelli is the same way. I'm pretty sure that Stephen Crutchfield is really enjoying that I'm comparing his product to a feminine hygiene commercial, but that's just the way it goes sometimes, folks. Villa Capelli, go get it right now. Don't mess around. Chris, who else do we have there?
We have Miss Anna queued up next here. Anna, give me that
Chris,
thumbs up in the camera. Go ahead.
Chris, by the way, because I'm running late because of my snake situation, if we just roll into the next show after this, we'll just keep it rolling, okay?
Yeah,
so
we can do that.
We'll make a call on that because I'm not cutting any of these people short. We're going to talk to Anna. I think we have someone after Anna, right? Do you have someone else there?
We
right?
have Darren as well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But I got a feeling Anna's a lot cuter than Darren. So let's pull her up. Oh, there she is.
Hi, Vinnie.
How you doing?
Fantastic. I can't believe I'm talking to you. I started listening back in 2012. Is that when you started?
That's around when I started. So you're the one.
Yeah, I'm the one.
How did you find us back then?
I just started getting into running, and I liked listening to podcasts. So I thought I'd look up running podcasts or training podcasts or anything, right? So I think at that time there was not that much out there, but you were out there, and Anna had just joined. And she thought it was like funny if she got an ice cream at McDonald's on the way to the studio. Do you remember that?
Actually, it wasn't. So it wasn't Anna. Back in those days. I remember that show. So we used to do the shows at Anna's house because she had a studio because she's a voiceover person, and our mutual friend who was also in the voiceover world, Nancy Wolfson. Who I've known Nancy now for like 35 years. She introduced me to Anna, and she came over to do a show with us one day, and she stopped at McDonald's on her way and got a soft serve. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And she thought it was going to be funny, but it ended up making her a little bit sick. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it worked out so well for her.
Yeah.
And by the way, when I first met Nancy Wolfson, our birthdays are on the same day. She's a lot younger than me, maybe 8-10 years younger than me. Nancy was very heavy, right? And we became really close friends. Like in the early days, the early 90s, we would watch Seinfeld together when Thursday night was much watch. What was it? It was must watch TV, right, on NBC. And Nancy and I would watch television, and she would go hiking with me on the weekends, and she would eat candy on the way to the hike. And sometimes I would say, Nancy, you have chocolate on your mouth. Can you at least wipe it off before you get here for the hike? And just the funniest girl I know. I love her dearly. We still talk all the time. But yeah, she had a severe food addiction, and you should see her now. She looks amazing. At some point she started paying attention, and she looks amazing. So good on her.
I started listening back in 2012. I don't think I really made it part of my life until about 2 years ago after my second kid was born. And I thought, I got to get rid of this baby weight. But back then I just started getting back into running. I went from working in a bar, right, and drinking all night, eating pizza, whatever. And I was like, I'm going to buy a pair of running shoes. I'm going to get into it. I went back to school. I got myself a real job, and I was okay, but I was still drinking and kind of on and off. But until, I moved to Hawaii in 2016 October of 2016. I was about 215 pounds. And then, fresh after a divorce, you just eat your feelings.
Oh, yeah.
Bottle of vodka every other night. just eating whatever, Then finally, I got my head straight. I found a man who loved me. 2 kids later, I said, okay, getting back into shape. I got on track. I'm down to 145. I bought a pair of size 4 jeans the other day. Like, what? Never.
That's amazing.
Never did I think that would happen. And then I ran my first ultramarathon about a month ago.
What distance?
50K.
Which one? You look like you're in Florida. Maybe the Keys or one of those? Or?
I'm in Hawaii.
Okay.
So it's the Hawaii Kai Ultra Run. It's called the Extreme Ultra Run. It's a 9-mile out loop over in Hawaii Kai. So there's different distances you can run. And I chose the 50K to start. And on my way home, I thought I can do the 50-mile.
Yeah. Well, look, you got something to look forward to. Look, think about how far you've come, Anna. I mean, you started off, you were just running and listening to podcasts. You were in a bad marriage. There's nothing worse than a bad marriage. I don't know if people really understand that, right? And I'm sorry that you went through that, but that led its way to probably, if you were drinking a fifth of vodka every other night, that's pretty heavy drinking, right? And you were eating your feelings. Now you have 2 beautiful kids, a wonderful, I'm assuming you're still married, wonderful husband.
He's great.
Yeah. And you're running 50Ks. I mean, who's better than you?
I can't run without daddy helping. So,
Well,
he watches the kids but then now I can keep up with my kids because we didn't, I'm over 40 now. So I got to keep up with my kids. I got to be healthy. I got to keep up with this lifestyle, and because of listening to your show, it's ingrained, right? I always read the label. I always, you have to be conscious at the store what you buy. So at home, you don't think about it. You just eat what's there, right?
Yeah.
Do all the things. But
well, it sounds like you're doing all the right things. I love these victory laps that people take when they call me, because look, I'm human like everyone else. And I love working with people and helping them with their problems. But usually when people call me, when I get the phone calls, right, I do consultations 5 days a week. Nobody comes to me on a winning streak, right? They're always, there's this problem, that problem, and it's what I do. But man, it can drag you down. It can really, I'm glad that they're leaving their problems on me because that's what I do. I help people out of those situations.
right.
When I get these stories, and Jim was just talking about getting his son into rock climbing, and it's something that they're doing together, right? And this victory lap of you being in a sucky relationship and getting out of it and pulling yourself up by the bootstrap. Do you remember what it was, what the change was? Do you remember that day when it changed? Did you meet the guy and then it changed, or did you say,
Yeah,
F it,
he didn't.
I'm with the liquor and everything else, and then you found the guy? How did it work?
Kind of, it was kind of both. And then he didn't put up with any bullshit, right? Excuse my language, but I think that's okay here. He didn't put up with it. He said, no, we're married now. You don't, you got to be responsible. And, I was thinking after my first kid, I was going to go back to casually drinking, right? But
Right.
he's like, no, we're parents now. It's not the time for that. And it made sense in my head. I said, okay. And then I remembered how to stick with this diet, because if you put alcohol in there, right, it all goes out the window. All these, all your logic and everything. So I just remembered what you put in your body is your fuel, and you go with it. And one thing I also that really stuck with me is learning that it's your hormones talking to you that you're hungry, and it's not your body is actually starving, right? Like I was over 200 pounds. I wasn't starving. It was my hormones because of what I maybe ate earlier.
Hormones control everything. Just
Right.
always know, you know, and once you have that figured out, and look, by and large, I'm not a prude when it comes to drinking, right? I have a drink on the weekends, not every weekend. It's going to probably be more often now because of football season. A friend comes over to watch a game or whatever, and
Yeah.
I'm going to offer a drink. I'm going to have a drink. But every time I do it, and every time you do it, I don't know if you do it at all anymore. It's better not to do it at all.
No. Yeah.
We're putting poison. It's poison in our bodies.
Right.
It's all right. So,
Sure sounds good at the end of the day, but then I know the next morning I'm just going to hate myself.
it's like any other drug. I mean, you drink it and you feel fine, right? It makes you feel good. If you don't drink too much, you feel good. But then there's a price to pay. You might have a slight headache or you're a little tired the next day. I remember a couple of weeks ago I had a drink and I wasn't thinking. You were out to dinner with a couple, and then the next morning was leg day at the gym.
Right.
I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And it was just one drink, right? And I'm like, oh.
Little dehydrated and just
Yeah, you
throws it
feel a
off.
little weird, just a little, no matter how much water you drink and no matter what you do with the electrolytes, it gets you, it'll get you. And you're just sitting there going, God, I wish I hadn't had that drink last night. This workout would be so much better. So, the drink it comes and goes in a few minutes. And then the next day you have a workout that suffers because of it.
Yeah. And same with sugar. So, and some people, I was so confused when I started looking up fueling for ultras because some people just swear by just loading up with all those sugar shots and energy gels and all that stuff. And they're like, you can't do it without it. And I go, well, watch me,
Yeah.
And even the race director at the end of my race, he took my picture with my medal and everything. And, I told him about how I was having, I took nut butter with me and some pickles. And I made some eggs with cheese for afterwards, and he goes, yeah, but at least you did a carb load yesterday, right? No.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy?
Oh,
I can.
Sorry, bone broth is my miracle
bone
drink.
broth is the best. I used it the whole time I was not. I got into ultra-cycling on the road. We started using bone broth, but you tell that to people. I was just out at the Badwater 135. None of those people are using high fat. They're all doing high sugar. And I remember back in my day, once you got past like the 15 or 18 hour mark, it just became your stomach upset, diarrhea, you want to throw up. If you go to any triathlon event, when you get to the run, you see nothing but porta potties lined up because that's when they, it's about 12 hours in their day for most of these runners, 13, 14 hours. They're crapping, they're throwing up. It becomes a big problem. Right? So, yeah.
I do recommend taking an Imodium though before a long run. That's a good.
Yeah, a lot of people do things like that. I never did, but I know a lot of people do the Imodium. I don't have problems with the diarrhea, but I will throw up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But
there's that.
But bone broth was my miracle drink when I was training the whole time. And so it's been a month. And since then, every weekend I haven't run less than 15 or 18 miles. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. That's what I love to hear. How old are your kids now?
2 and 4.
Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. And I can't believe, Chris, we finally met our oldest fan right here, Anna.
From the beginning.
Let's not go with oldest. I think it's longest listening.
Longest listening. Long time listener. First time
caller.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, what a pleasure to meet you. I mean, I've listened to you for years and years, so it feels like an old friend, but what an honor. We
are old friends, Anna. Come on. Yeah. Well, have a great rest of your day, and please keep listening.
Thank you.
We keep one consistent listener. Thank you, folks. PureVitaminClub.com. Now, why do I know these are the best vitamins in the country? I know that because I make them. As a matter of fact, Chris, I want you to join me on this ad right now because Chris and I had a discussion earlier today. Whenever you buy elements to make vitamins, we use 4 different types of magnesium within our broad spectrum magnesium. So we have the most absorbable, and you don't get the craps from it or anything else, right? So it's very highly absorbed magnesium. And sometimes the product, it's more dense than other times. And Chris called me and said, "Hey, we have a problem. We have a little room left in a capsule when they did the run on the magnesiums. Do you want to, go to a different size capsule?" And I said, "No, it's okay if we have a little room in the capsules, as long as we have the perfect amount of magnesium per capsule." And Chris and I started thinking, Chris, what did you say every other company would do in that situation?
So our manufacturer came to us and they said, look, there's 3 different options, right?
Mhm.
You can move to a smaller capsule. You can throw a bunch of stuff in here, right? You can hyperload it, basically stuff it to the gills, but we don't necessarily want to do that because we want you to know what you're getting.
Yeah.
What was the other option they gave us, Vinnie?
The other option was to put a filler in it, get a smaller capsule, or I think those are the 3 options.
And Serena said, well, why don't other companies have problems with this? And I said, they do. The difference is they just say, yeah, go ahead and put some sand or some
it's
extra
literally
flow agent or, like whatever the fillers are that they want to use that day. Go ahead and fill it so that the capsule looks 100% full.
Yeah. And that's what they do. That's where they, when we say they put sand in, they literally put sand in. It's silica, which is sand. And it's amazing. We don't do that at purevitaminclub.com. That's why, sometimes right now our zinc, the capsule doesn't look full, right? Because we have a bigger capsule, is more dense, but you're getting exactly the right amount. Whenever you get something that's pure and natural, there's going to be a natural thing about it, right? We're not trying to make pretty supplements. We're trying to make supplements that work. Chris, write that down. I need to use that. We're not making pretty supplements, but we make supplements that work. Doesn't make sense, but I like it. PureVitaminClub.com. If you want to get the best vitamins on the planet, no BS. You're getting exactly what the label says is what's in the capsule. There's no extra excipients or flow agents or fillers or titanium dioxide, you name it. None of it is there. You're getting pure ingredients. That was my promise to myself, because I make these for myself. So since I'm making them for me, it's also a promise to you. PureVitaminClub.com. Go there right now. Get the product. You will love it. Chris, who else do we have?
We have our buddy Darren hanging out patiently in the back end here. Darren, give me that thumbs up if you're ready to come on in. We'll bring you right. Oh, double barrel thumbs up.
All good.
How's it going, buddy?
Vinny, you had a day like I've been having the last, first snakes, right? So a week ago, I had to take both of my labs out to a place to get them snake trained because we have enough around, and they're gonna go dig into them, right? So, and every day I fight with my headphones and my microphone and my camera at the office just to do Microsoft Teams calls every time. So, I was watching you going, yeah, that's my day.
Yeah, I sat down. I don't know if you were on here earlier enough, but when I turned the mic on, I have a routine. Get the mics going, make my espresso, get everything ready, do the show, right? And I did all of that, and I walked outside for just a second to make sure the dogs were in the house. And when I walked back in, I looked down, and it was right there in the track of the sliding door. And like I saw it really fast, and I went, "Let me close this door really fast." I thought it was a copperhead at first because it was colorful. I just closed the door really fast, and that's when I came back to the mic and I said, "Chris, I got a situation," and I went and grabbed Serena and a shovel because I wanted someone to be outside. I took another shovel inside in case it ran in the house. I would be able to chop its head off.
Does
as soon as I
Serena
saw-
like playing snake games?
Oh God, no!
She a fan?
No, neither one of us are fans at all. But we're not a fan of killing anything that we're not going to eat unless it's going to harm us or our animals. And we do have a copperhead problem in the neighborhood. So if it was a copperhead, unfortunately, I hate killing anything I'm not going to grill. I would have killed it. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I know people are going to hate me for that. And thank you, Peter. I'm sorry that you think I'm an asshole. But, this snake, we determined it wasn't a viper, and we just let it scurry away, which means the cats are going to catch it and bring it into the laundry room tonight. So
Yeah.
we're going to.
Yeah. Well, of course they are. That's what they do.
Yeah. So that's my life dealing with that. How are you doing, man? I'm sure you didn't call to talk to me about reptiles.
No, all good, man. I found you. Well, a buddy of mine had been listening to you for a couple of years, and he said, "Hey, you should really check this guy." Because at the time, I'm 6 foot, and at the time I was about 300 pounds, so obviously a big boy. And I didn't log on, I didn't listen, but I happened to be scrolling through Amazon and stumbled across Fat One. And I'm like, okay, that's Vinny. That's got to be the guy my buddy was talking to me about. And I watched that, and I was like, okay, all right, now I get it. But about that time, it was 3 months into the shutdown. And
Yeah.
so, and in fairness, I didn't go into the shutdown skinny and balloon up during the shutdown. I just got a little bit bigger during the shutdown. But when I came back, I was I was really exhausted, and I've been doing a lot of work, and it's a busy time of year at work, and so I got some miles on me, so I figured you're just getting older, and it's been a busy time at work. But went to the doc and I did a sleep test, and they said, you got sleep apnea so bad you're gonna die. So you need to get on the machine like today. Um, and I mean, what the neurologist said, because he got the results and he called me that day, said, I need to talk to you right now. I said, look, you're getting so little oxygen at night that your best case scenario is early onset dementia, but I don't think you're gonna live that long. So you need to get on the machine now. So I was like, well, that's not good. Well, that
Yeah.
same day, I decided to get hardcore on the diet too, because I didn't want to be on the machine all day or
Right.
all my life, right? And I have adult kids, and they're brutal. So the first time they saw me in that mask, it's like, talk to me, goose. And my little one, who was like 20
I
at the
got
time,
it. Need for speed.
exactly. And it's like my little one, who's 20 at the time, she's like, is this when we buy you the I've fallen and I can't get up button? Do we just go ahead and get that out of the way right now? I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
fine. So I went hardcore NSNG, and believe it or not, I am, just because back then I was really lazy. I work a lot of hours. So I wasn't doing anything in terms of exercise, really. I mean, really not. It was just, I didn't start off as let's do this experiment and see if we can do it with just diet. It's just because I'm lazy, or I was
Right.
back then. And so in a year, well, in about 9 months, I'd lost 90 pounds, and the CPAP was gone. And then I finally started doing a little bit more exercising, to the point where, I dropped I was down a total of 130 at one point in time, which was probably too much, but not exercising and doing that piece of it, way too much muscle loss. So
Right.
then I got straight. So about a year into it, I started working out because there's a gym in my building. I'm very fortunate. If you can't get a good workout in there, it's just because you don't want to. I mean, it's got all the stuff, and couldn't be easier, because the dogs get me up 4 o'clock every morning anyway, whether I want to get up or not. So I may as well
Yeah.
come into the office and beat the morning traffic. I live in Houston. I live out in the burbs, so traffic's awful. So, but it really all started kind of with fat about the same time that I had to get on the CPAP machine that I didn't want to be on.
Yeah.
Pain to travel and all this. And what the sleep doctor told me is, I said, look, if I get off a bunch of weight, can I get off of this? He said, maybe. He said a lot of apnea is caused by weight. Not all of it is, but worst case scenario, even if you can't get off of it, even if you lose a bunch of weight, so what? I mean, that's great. You know, it's not. It's going to help you in a bunch of other areas, but it happened to fix that. So you've heard this story from plenty of people, right? You know, you get enough weight off and get the inflammation down, and all of a sudden it goes away, or it goes away fairly quickly.
It does. And that's the part, you know, they tell people once you're on the sleep apnea machine, you're on it for life. And that's the part with doctors, you know, they're not giving people hope. Right. And I get it. Doctors don't want to, you know, just say anything absolute. But if they did tell someone, hey, Darren, I can't promise you this, but if you lose 100 pounds, this machine might go away. Right. They never get to the, and I get it because doctors, you know, we have two MDs, husband and wife, that are friends. And we run with them, meaning actually physically run with them, and we go hiking with them and the whole thing. And they tell us, well, we cannot tell patients that they need to lose weight. And it's like, well, why? And it's like, we will get sued. We're living in a world where it's litigious. If you even tell someone they need to lose weight, we can get sued. So the company they work for tells them, do not bring up weight. As a matter of fact, when they weigh people, that's become an aggression. You know, you walk in, they hop on the scale. Some doctors have quit that because that becomes an aggression. That's where we are. Everybody's so far up their own ass that doctors can't be doctors. Their hands are tied, right? So can you imagine a doctor telling you, hey, Darren, look, we're going to put this thing on your face that's going to be very uncomfortable every night. Or you can have this for a time being, but if you lose weight, there's a strong possibility that this will go away. Because almost everyone, now look, the people I talk to are always bragging about, I got off CPAP, I got off of 10 medications, I got off, right? So I get it. And I'm sure there are people who are lean, who are still on the CPAP machine. But let me ask you, you're working out, you've lost 130 pounds, did you say?
Yeah, I lost from the peak to the low, and I put some back on, and some of that is muscle. Not all of it, because I fail too. We all fail, right? And when I fail, I generally tend to fail pretty huge. But you know, it's sugar, and it happens. But I'll tell you something about doctors, because I've got a bunch of them. Neurologists, cardiologists, all this. Every single one of them, I've checked out everything that you've been preaching, and you know, those, and the books that I've been reading, all the people that you've got me, you know, hooked in with, you know, Jason Fung's book, all Gary Taub's stuff, Nina's books, all Bickman, you know, all of the Vinnie reading list. I've checked every last bit of it out before I started it, because I've got heart issues, and I'm an older guy, you know, and you can find anybody on the internet or on YouTube to tell you to do something.
Right, of course.
Right. So checked it out. Every last one of them, every one of them has backed up everything that you've ever told me, or that I've ever heard you say. Every one of them has said that. And, you know, and these are pretty smart guys.
Yeah. Well, they're a lot
So-
smarter than me, you know, and that's the key. You know, I don't sit and pretend that I know anything. I've learned from the best. You know, I had a pretty good background because I went to a medical university, and you're in Houston, you know about Tulane. I mean, you know what it is.
I do. Harvard of the South.
So it's the Harvard of the South. It's the Harvard of Harvard. I mean, you know, it's so I learned a lot there, and then I just kept studying. I've learned more out of college than I did in college, but it was a good start, right? And I didn't just take what they told me in college to heart. You got to keep learning. You have to keep practicing. You keep learning. And I'll never forget, I was talking to one doctor who I respect a lot. I won't mention his name here. It's just total respect. He's been on my show several times. And I said, Doc, how is it that you broke away from, all the other medical doctors and you now believe this? He goes, just like a lot of people, we started listening to guys like you and said, let's prove Vinnie wrong. But when you start looking, going down the rabbit hole and you start reading Nina Teicholz because she took the studies and broke them down, and you start reading Gary Taubes because he took the studies and broke them down, they start going, oh, wait, maybe guys like Vinnie are not wrong, right? Maybe they're right. Right? So that's how that works, right? We help them, they help us, and we all come to some kind of conclusion, right? But if you live in a world, and we do live in a world like this now, where everything is polarized, man, politically, that's why I don't do a political podcast here. I won't do politics because I want to help everybody. I don't care if you're an independent. I don't care if you're a liberal. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care what you are. I want to help everyone, because if everyone gets help, then we all win together. Right? But we're all the polarization of vegan versus carnivore versus this versus that. It just doesn't, we're not going to win that way. Right?
I love reading the reviews of your movies because they're either 10 out of 10 or 1 out of 10. And the
Right.
1 out of 10 is because of it's not because it's because they just want to argue with it from some other point, not a factual scientific thing, or they want to get into some other tangent. And it's just, you don't ever find a Vinnie movie review that's like 5 out of 10. It's either we love it or we hate it. And generally the reason they hate it is because it goes against some belief system.
That's pretty much it. That's why I never read my own reviews, number one. But the other thing is, one time someone sent me a video. It was a video review by this vegan guy who looked at my Beyond Impossible movie, and he said, oh yeah, of course he's going to say Beyond Meat and Impossible Burgers are horrible. He's bought and paid for by Big Meat. First off, I wish there was a Big Meat out there outside of the porn industry where I'm sure some guy calls himself Big Meat, right? There is no Big Meat.
We'll leave that one alone.
Right? And if there is Big Meat, where's my check? If I'm bought and paid for, Nina was here. Nina was here at the house about 2 summers ago. And we were sitting on the back porch, and we got into a couple of drinks that night and started talking about the ways of the world. And we were wondering if we were doing any good or not. Right? And I said, Nina, everyone says I'm bought and paid for. She goes, oh, they say that about me too. I said, what are you doing with all of your money? She goes, the same thing you're doing with your money. It's like, we're not getting any money. There is no Big Meat. I wish they would get themselves together and do something, right? We're just trying to tell the truth. And in the middle of trying to tell the truth, you get called names. Okay, I'll take that. I'm good with that. If you don't stand for something, you fall for everything.
Yeah. And ultimately, all of the stuff that I stopped eating was the stuff that nobody's, it isn't any good for anybody, it's Cheetos and whatever else. So it's regardless of where you are between like raw vegan to a pure carnivore and everything else, there's some stuff in there that just taking all of that out of the diet back then really resulted in a lot of the improvement. Wasn't whether or not I was following one particular diet or another, but if you just stay away from just the junk and get the seed oils out and those sorts of things that you and lots of other people have been screaming and more, just and try it, right? I mean, it doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt to try it. And I would even talk to my my neurologist and said, so what about low carb? What about fasting, intermittent fasting, longer fasting, brain, you hear brain has to have a certain amount of sugar, all this stuff. He's like, the brain is a prima donna. It will get energy wherever it wants. You do not
Yeah.
have to eat sugar. It will pull it from wherever it wants. It is a pure prima donna. He said, if you're doing well on a low carb diet, you feel good, I have no brain concerns with you doing that whatsoever. And
Yeah.
I've done plenty of, I generally only eat about one meal a day when I'm not being bad. But, I've done 48, 3-day, even 4-day fasts occasionally, just because I think one of the things that my endocrinologist said when I was checking all this stuff out is they're going to say, you're going to crank along for a while if you're following a diet, you're going to lose weight, and then you're going to stop for a while. And they said, don't worry about it. It's frustrating. People you talk about plateaus and all that stuff. And it's like, he said, that's just your body calling a timeout to figure out what's going on. And if he was a Darrell Royal fan, so he said, dance with the one that brung you. So
Yeah.
keep, double down. And sure enough, you kind of work through that stuff, mix it up. But it worked.
I want you to come back on a podcast soon. But before you come back on, I want you to get going in the direction of losing you said you put on a few extra pounds.
Yeah.
I want you to get on the straight and narrow, the thing that got you where you got. Now, we know you put on some muscle. Keep putting on muscle. Keep doing that, because at our age, you look like you're about my age, maybe a little younger. At our age, it's important to keep muscle on. Muscle is king. Muscle is king. So put the muscle on. But I want you to tell me, when you look in the mirror, the waist is coming down again, those kind of non-scale victories. Let's give it, let's see, by mid-October, early November. Let's get you back and see if you're moving in the right direction. Right?
All right.
Let's go straight now. Can we do that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Because, it's kind of like a horse or a dog or anything, right? They're always learning something.
Yeah.
We have to decide if it's positive or negative. Our bodies are the same way. We're always doing something that's either going up or coming down. Let's bring it down. Let's keep it down. Because if you've gained a little weight now and you gain a little more, before you know it, we're going to be talking about you need to lose 130 pounds again.
I do have one question for you.
Sure.
Because I don't know what's going on. So let's say I've been perfectly good and I've eaten a perfectly Vinnie approved meal, say 16-ounce ribeye, Caesar salad with the anchovies, and that's it. Hour and a half later, I get the munchies sometimes. And it's not that, it's call it a 16-ounce ribeye, good fatty Caesar salad, nothing else. And I wear a CGM just to monitor stuff. I'm not diabetic. And that thing has stayed flatline the entire time. So it's nothing spiking. But for whatever reason, an hour and a half later, I'm getting the
Are you?
munchies.
Is that when you're doing OMAD? One meal a day?
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
There you go. That's the problem I have with one meal a day. Some people can do it very successfully. Some people, even though with a CGM you're flatlining the sugar, some people just have trouble with that. They'll eat and an hour later go, oh, I'm hungry and I got to, and then it goes away, and then they're fine until the next day when they eat again. That's why when I like watching, I tell people, I get it. I get what fasting is, but having something in the morning, sparking that metabolism in the morning, with simply some eggs,
Wish I liked them. I've hated eggs since I was a kid, and for the it's like the perfect food. I know. So
yeah,
what I've been trying to do is, some MCT oil or coconut oil, at least in the coffee, first coffee
yeah.
of the day, do something like that to get something going.
That's the best thing you could do. Maybe having a little red meat or some chicken or something at lunch. Yeah, just something to spark, right, earlier in the day, and see if that helps. And I'd like to know if it is helping, because I'm learning from you guys all the time. I don't purport to know everything, right? You
I'll
guys,
give it a shot.
yeah, let's see what happens. Darren, it was good talking to you, brother.
Vinnie, thanks for all you do.
Folks, you know what to do. We all go shopping on Amazon. Before you go to Amazon, go to VinnieTortorich.com, click through the banner. It puts a little coal on the fire, gets my train down the track, and I'm able to keep the show free for a gazillion years in a row. I want to thank, oh boy, I didn't write the names down. I want to thank Chris.
Jim, Anna, Darren.
Yeah. Anna, Darren. Was it Tim or Jim? Jim. It was Jim. Yes. Want to thank all you guys for being on today, and look forward to talking to you guys again soon. You know what? Anna reminded me of this song. I don't know why, so we're going to go out on it. It's the Human League. You know, she said she worked as a cocktail waitress, so that's why. So on behalf of everybody, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living, and let's do it with the Human League.